Okay, welcome everybody. I'm John with Quilt Easy. This is Lindsay. We've got the opportunity today to interview Stewart Plank, the owner of A1 Quilting Machines. We're excited about this. We've got a few questions to ask him, and we'll let him kind of tell us about A1 Quilting Machines and where it's going now, where it's going in the future, and what really started him as a quilter. I know, Stuart, you're a quilter actually. And what got you interested in quilting in the first place?
I was an aircraft mechanic, and they were closing the facility in my hometown. I didn't really want to leave, and my dad had taken up the interest of auto upholstery, and he ran into this little old man that owned this shop and the little old man was trying to sell it to him. He was an engineer in the retirement stage of his career, and he was like, you ought to come over and look at this little old guy's shop. And so he had industrial machines as well as this quilting machine. And it was quite the contraption, and I was fascinated by it. And he represented to me that he had invented the stand-up quilting system. Before that, it was overhead quilting systems. That was a cable, and you had to have a 24 foot room to do a 12-foot frame. So he invented, according to him, the carriage, cross track carriage with the wheels to allow to do the 360-degree motion because of the wheels on the table. So I saw that, and I was like, I think I can improve this. In the meantime, before I bought the company, I went and did some research on who else sold these, and I went to Gamble. That's basically 100 miles from me, and they were selling long arms. Back in that day, they were selling long arms that were private labeled from Nolting, and Gamble was the only place that you could buy one. And they were welded up out of tubing, and I was just shocked at how labor intensive and how every machine was literally a one-off product, and there was no, and I'm like, man, this needs to be a casting, obviously aluminum casting. And so I knew a little bit about casting, and I knew a little bit about machine shop stuff, and I was like, man, I want to make one of these. So I bought the company with the idea of making my own aluminum casted long arm just to see if I could, and pretty much the rest is history. And so that's really how I got into it, was because I was shocked at how all the machines were being made at this time, because it was pretty Neanderthal. And so we brought it up into the 21st century with a super a machine casting that's just as accurate as a car engine, to as a framework to hold all of the parts and pieces. So, what we're all us manufacturers are doing is basically making a frame that's the right thickness and strength levels so that it doesn't vibrate so much. And so we're all just making a frame that holds all the shafts and pieces and parts in the right position to make it so. And so that's how I got started into it.
Okay.
So, how long have you been quilting then?
I bought the company in '87, and probably in 1990, I forced myself to quilt to piece just to try to get inside of a quilter's head to see what it's all about, so I could maybe have one little more morsel of what they're up against in their, uh, in their way of going about how to quilt. So, and I kind of enjoyed the quilting, and so I've kind of started piecing from there. And every once in a while at a show, I'll see a pattern that I really like, and I'll look at it for the whole show. And by the end of the show, if I look at a lot of stuff I don't buy, but at the end of the show, if I really, really like it, I'll buy their kit. And then it might take me a year to get it done, but I will eventually get it done. So, so I've been quilting since 1990.
Cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
What kind of designs do you get drawn to? What are the types you like?
I'm really drawn to the 3D quilts. So I've made two of those, and I'm starting on a third one. And so I think they're cool looking. A lot of people don't like them, but I'm a guy. It's like I can't do the flowers and all this stuff. So, you never know. I may like that as the next thing I like. But I've got a 3D quilt that I did just to hang on the wall here, and everybody is just literally drawn to that thing. So they really like it.
Now, I know you not only use automation, but you sell automated robots. Did you gravitate through forms of going from pentagraphs to templates to whatever to get to that point, or are you just going straight from free motion to automation?
You know what? The light that came on to me was the price point back when all the computers were $15,000. It's like, um, you know, that was like too much money for me to get excited about the automation. And as soon as Quilt Easy came out with, the price range of 6,500 or so, that's like a lot more fun number. And it's a lot more reasonable. And so the customers think the same thing as well, that, you know, that's that's a price I can live with. So uh, you know, they're buying the computer at the same time they're buying the machine.
Yeah.
That is pretty cool. So what's your favorite part about the robot?
I'd have to say maybe it's when you have a problem with one of the PCBs or something, the timely way that Quilt Easy turns the product around to get us back a part back for the customer is probably one of the better parts about it.
So when you're not busy outside working on hay trolleys or something like that, what's one of the advantages of using robotics? What's the time saving feature that you like the most?
The days, because of the 6,500 or so price point, uh, it's kind of silly to do edge to edge paper pattern work when the computer can do it for you. And, a lot of people have bought second machines and they're babysitting their computer doing edge to edge work, and they're doing custom quilting on a second machine. So a lot of them have referenced that they're kind of doubling their time by doing that. So, but at the price point of what the computer is, it's just kind of silly to sit there and hand guide the machine through a paper pattern. It's just silliness at this point.
What advice can you give quilters that are looking into getting automation?
The best way I always say it is, it's kind of a joke, but your chiropractor called, he ordered you a robot, because you're going to save that much. $6,500 is cheaper than chiropractic bills to put over this thing. It really is, think about it. So, the doctor called and he ordered you a robot because it's crazy for you to do this.
That's good.
Yeah.
Now I have to put in a plug for you. We use a specific machine here for all of our testing, and it happens to be one of the very first original A1 machines. And we've got millions and millions and millions of stitches on that machine, not only just with regulator tests, but also robotic tests. And the point that you brought up about making frames being perfect so there's no vibration, it's interesting you say that because your machine has less vibration than anything out there. So kudos to you. You got a great product and a great business, and we appreciate the opportunity to work with you.
Yeah. Well, thanks for the compliment. And one of the reasons that we can get some of that vibration out of there is we've internally webbed, due to the casting process that we do, we've internally webbed the machine to give it strength points with not very much more weight added, that the other ways that everybody makes these castings, they're not able to put that webbing in there, or they do not put it. So it's the only cast long arm in the world that actually has this internal webbing. And what I mean by that is when you pick up a plastic fork, when you look at the back side of the fork, it has raised ridges of webbing that gives that fork the strength that it has. And so, you know, people look at that and the light comes on of, oh, I know exactly what that is. And if you can kind of see, if you sanded those webbings off, that fork wouldn't have any strength in it. And so that's what this webbing does inside of the machine, you know, to put it in layman's terms. So,
Do you want to put any more plugs in for your business at the end here?
not really. I can answer some more of your questions you've got. Um, like my favorite type of fabric is Kaif fabric, which is real popular, but he's a real artsy guy with super bright colors. And my favorite pattern of Quilt Easies right now that looks great on the quilts is the bubbles patterns. And I have used the templates and a stylus on one quilt and it turned out wonderful. But that's like a real not very much fun to run.
It's a little bit like stepping backwards in time, but it's still a very economical way to get it straight. A nice
It
clean
really
pattern.
is. But you know, you got to remember where those crossovers are. And luckily, I didn't make any mistakes. But I was like, man, if I can ever get done with this thing, I don't think I'll ever use it again. And the quilt was beautiful when I got done. Yeah, the favorite part of the quilt gallery is probably just not having to do edge to edge quilting on them anymore, you know. And one of my favorite features of it is the nesting. That's so easy to pop it in there. And quite frankly, it almost seems like it doesn't have enough data to make it work, but it does work. And so there's that. And the feature that saves me maybe the most time is probably the autofill. You know, that's a really easy feature to populate the quilt the way that works.
So, Stuart, we want to thank you for the opportunity to interview you today and the information we got. It's a pleasure to be associated with your business and consider you our friend. So, thanks for joining us today.
Okay, thanks for giving me the time to talk to you guys today, and we'll see you down in Houston.
Okay.
Sounds great.
All right.
See ya.
See ya.